Welcome everyone to the Co-Creators Convergence Thursday night Creator Convos. I'm Noel Marshall and I'm here with my beloved.
Hi everyone, this is Bob. We are delighted, Erica, to have an evening with you to chat and have you bring us your gift to the shift in humanity. Everyone has one. We're looking forward to hearing about yours. We're looking forward to you being our facilitator in conversation about the importance of what you do in the world. Thank you so much for being here.
Thank you.
And in just a moment, we're going to give Erica a little bit more of an introduction. But before we do, I want to tell you something about the Co-Creators Convergence. So please stand by. So that is a little bit about the Co-Creators Convergence. And so glad to have Erica here. And Erica, we met, well, we both know Barbara Marx Hubbard. And that's one of the ways that that we met. And you have been on quite an adventure. And I know that you've traveled a lot, you've developed your gifts, and we're very honored that you're spending this time with us tonight. So let me tell you a little bit more formally about Erica. She was born knowing that her purpose is to be of service to humanity. Her psychic abilities and spiritual connection have been my biggest sources of strength since I was a child. My main goal is to attain enlightenment and help others achieve that as well. So we're going to get some secrets tonight to access our enlightened self. I also know this about Erica. She is a revolutionary who believes that the most potent rebellion comes from radical personal transformation. So thank you all for coming. Those of you who are here in the Zoom room, we say hello, welcome. And those of you online, and those that you are going to pick it up, because all of our calls are archived in at co-creatorsconvergence.com. I think we've been doing this for 10 years. So you go to that website, just put in a name and we probably have had them on our show. So we're really excited to have you here tonight, Erica. And, you know, it's really timely for us. We just lost a couple of dear friends. I hate to say I lose them because I know that they have transitioned. I know it was planned. I see a lot of beauty in their passing. I also see that it made a lot of work for me. That's helping out the family, but it's a labor of love because this couple was just so amazing in their gifts. Their gift to the shift that came to me from the other side was be love. And so that's their message to everyone, is to be love. So without any further ado, I'm going to turn it over to Erica, and Erica is going to do some centering for us and then take us into her program. And I also want you to tell us about the other things that you're doing, like I think swimming with the dolphins.
Yeah.
Which sounds pretty awesome. So she's also the mother of two very beautiful children. And like us, she's a great road warrior, but recently has settled down in Nevada City, California area. So it's on our bucket list to visit. We couldn't convince her to come to Tennessee, so Nevada City. So without any further ado, I'm going to turn it over to you, our dear friend Erica Blackbear. Thank you so much for being with us this evening.
Yes, thank you so much for having me. Thank you everybody for joining. And yeah, we can start with some centering. So first, if you just want to take a couple of deep breaths and center into your physical body here for a minute, and take some deep breaths in and deep breaths out, and just really feel the air on your skin and the energy surrounding you, and just get really grounded in this place and time. A couple more deep breaths. Okay. So yeah, as Noel said, I was kind of born with my abilities on, and so as a young child, I was seeing spirits and hearing them and feeling them, and it's just that in my intuitive inner knowing, and just getting a lot of data from different senses and different types of abilities. And so I kind of went through some difficult things as a child. I was trafficked as a kid, and that I've learned to see that as actually a gift for me. It's catapulted me further in my awakening. It has really brought me within myself and taught me how to go deeper and access higher levels of understanding, and be more compassionate and more connected to other people and the earth and other beings. And so I really learned to see that as a gift, but it took a lot of years to get here and a lot of work to get to this place within myself. And now I'm ready to kind of share my insights and share my understanding that I've gleaned from all of that, including like the healing process and trauma release, and accessing your own psychic abilities. And that is really what I love to do, is to help people access their own psychic abilities. I really see myself as kind of a guide and empowering for others. Like, I don't see myself as a gatekeeper or anything like that. Like, you don't have to come to me for a session. I want you to access your own guide team, your own have a clear channel for your own access to the divine or God or whatever, great spirit, whatever you like to call it. So anyway, with that being said, let me share my screen. I have a PowerPoint. So as we all know, as Bob and Noel mentioned, there's this major shift happening in humanity. Many of us have been aware of this for a while. My understanding is that the shift is moving from a third dimensional way of being, the third dimension, which would be more duality, like a this or that mentality, which kind of leads to like more wars and interpersonal issues on a personal and collective level. It's kind of like this every man for themselves, because so with the dimensions, it's a spectrum. So there's the lower dimension, third dimension is pretty low for this style avatar to inhabit. um, and it goes up in the dimensional realm. And as you go up through the dimensions, you're lightening. So everything is energy, right? So your physical body is energy, just condensed energy. This, computer, this table, it's all really energy. It's just as how condensed it is. And so as you go up through the dimensional realities, so every species would go through their own evolution through the dimensional realms. And so with that, you're lightening up, and your physical body will lighten up, and also the kind of beliefs that you would hold in different dimensions would shift as you kind of move up the spectrum. And so humanity is kind of moving into this. Well, many of us have already shifted into the fourth dimensional, from my understanding, and it would go into the fifth dimension. However, we're kind of, going to be in the fourth dimension for a little while, and the fourth dimension is really more heart-centered. It is more focused on the collective, which is typical as you kind of move up the dimensional reality. You're going to be more into the oneness that we all kind of come from. And when you incarnate, it's a descension. So you're going further away from that kind of oneness that we all come from. And so the third dimension is pretty far from that, and so there's more separation, and you experience more separation in that dimension. And so as we move up, we're going to be more focused on the collective and not as singular, although within the fourth dimension we'll still have a sense of self, like it's not a complete collective consciousness as some of the higher dimensional realms would be, like a ninth dimension, but there's more focus on how we can work together in the collective. And so I think that that's where humanity, a lot of humans are desiring, more connection, more togetherness, more tribal feel almost. And so that's my understanding of the shift that's happening. And with this, a lot of helper beings, probably most, if not all of the people listening that would listen to this would probably be one of these helper beings that has come. There's a lot of helper beings that have incarnated within the last three or not necessarily just three, but more people are incarnating the last three generations to kind of help with this shift, because it became apparent that we were coming to the crux of the shift. And so there was a lot of support sent, a lot of people volunteering, so to speak, to come into this time right now to kind of help with the shift. And so but there's also beings on the other side. So different types of humans who have crossed over. Some people call, angels, higher level spiritual beings, even extraterrestrial species that are residing in higher dimensions that the majority of humanity would not be able to see, because they're in that, on the other side of the veil, a lot of people call it, but they're really just residing in other dimensions. And that's true of our loved ones that have crossed over. And you know, our ancestors and our guide team. So everybody has their own guide team. So there's a lot of like support that's happening right now in order to be able to go through this shift. See that or not, but okay. So how to contribute to this shift is my understanding is the best way to contribute is to work on yourself and kind of work on elevating your consciousness, which would mean accessing your own superpowers, your own psychic abilities, which is a kind of a symptom of going up in the dimensional realms, is that people will easily be able to access all of that kind of information and be able to use that. And so it's you can't, from my perspective, you cannot change the world by changing the external. You have to change the internal, and then it's reflected in the external, because it's like a magnetic it's like a hack for the for living, for the universe. You know, when you do the work internally, you're going to see that reflected externally. And the more people that do their work internally, they're going to see it reflected in their external environment. So as everybody does that, then that changes the collective. That is the most potent way of changing the collective. And so one of the things to do is release trauma and release relationships that are holding you back, are weighing you down. Maybe there's some, if you could have, like, people call it a toxic relationship. Releasing that, working on your own traumas and releasing that, and I'll get more into that in a minute. Raising your vibration is like the releasing and the raising your vibration are the easiest, most potent of ways to affect the collective energy field. Now, there's a lot more to it than that, but with a starting point, those are two of the most potent ways you can kind of help with the shift. You can start to work with your guides more closely. So everybody has a team of guides. And I say it's like having a team of assistants. Like, why wouldn't you want that? You know, why wouldn't you want to be able to use that and access that? And to do that, you just have to kind of set an intention with the universe. Like, I want to communicate more directly with my guides, and you will start to see signs. And you know, you just have to be patient. And when you set an intention, you have to be patient and allow it to happen, because the sense of time in the other dimensions, it does not always align with the sense of time in the third dimension. So patience is a big one when you're starting to do these things. Okay, so since all of our collective energy fields combine, so like my energy field, my aura, Noel's energy field, her aura, etc., Bob, etc., Sheila, etc. Where all of our energy fields will combine with everybody else's to create the collective energy field, the human energy field, humanity energy field. And when we work on ourselves, our energy field affects everybody else that we come in contact with, but it also affects the vibration of the collective energy field as a whole. And so when we're in joy, in happiness, in abundance, in the higher vibration, it's going to raise the collective higher vibration. And so every time that somebody raises their own vibration, it's raising the collective vibration, which assists us in releasing the things that humanity has struggled with as a whole, and I'll get more into that in a second. And so lightening, when I say lightening your energy field, it means like releasing denser energy, which is often found in the form of like the heavier emotions, sadness, anger, hatred, resentment, guilt, cruelty, etc. Those types of emotions are very dense, are very heavy to carry, and it will lower your vibration. This doesn't mean that we should never feel those emotions, because bypassing the emotions is not going to be helpful either, because you're still holding it. You're just not willing to look at it. And so, like, if you feel those emotions, feel them fully and then release them, kind of thing, is the way to kind of work through those heavier, denser emotions. It's when we allow them to sit and kind of stagnate in our energy field, that's when they lower our vibration, and it can affect the collective vibration. Okay. So to go further into raising your vibration, it's important to look at everything you consume. So that can be media that you're watching, news, that can be movies, television, that can be music, that can be food. It can be anything that you're interacting with in your environment, really. It will affect your overall energy vibration. And so things that lower your vibration will feel worse to you. But if somebody's already been through a lot of trauma and they're kind of sitting in that lower vibration, they won't recognize that they're there often. Like sometimes they will, but they won't also notice that like things that they're consuming, like TV shows and stuff like that, are actually helping to hold them in that lower vibration. And so, and then on the flip side, things that raise your vibration will feel lighter, they'll feel better to most people. But again, if somebody is in kind of a trauma, like PTSD loop, where their vibration has been lowered for a very long time, being around a person or in an environment where the vibration is a lot higher than theirs is, it can almost be anxiety causing. So that's just something to think about if you're experiencing that, that the anxiety is actually helping to kind of shake and release some of that lower vibration. But anyway, putting that aside, so lowering things are like processed foods, heavy music, that will feel heavy to you, and that can be different for different people. So certain people maybe would think heavy metal music is lowering for them, but maybe that's not for somebody else, and that's okay. It's all relative to what feels good for you. Sad or violent media can lower your vibration. Sadness and depression, anger and rage, resentment, guilt, those types of things, again, will be lowering typically to your vibration. Again, if you're just moving through those emotions because you've had something happen, that's a different story. It's just when it sits and it stagnates in your energy field that it becomes an issue. Things that raise your vibration would be light foods, fruits and veggies. Typically, I was told by my guides that fruits are the highest expression of the plant, and so they're the highest vibrational and foods that you can actually eat. Just a side note. Light music, heartwarming media, happiness, joy, fun, excitement, things that really light you up, that make you feel good. Like maybe dancing makes you feel good. Maybe writing poetry makes you feel good. And doing those things that make you feel good like as often as possible will work wonders in raising your vibration, and being really mindful about not consuming things that are lowering to you. Releasing anything that drags your energy down, that feels like it's heavy to you, that is like a weight on your shoulders. Releasing those things will help raise your vibration. And then, like I said, actively pursuing anything that brings you joy, excitement, like makes like play, like getting into that, like remembering to play. Like as humans, we've been through such heaviness in the third dimension, and we forget how to play. We forget how to be light, how to have that excitement. And so just tapping into that and bringing that into your life can make a big difference, both for yourself and the collective again. Okay, so I wanted to talk a little bit more about trauma, because it's something that I think a lot of people don't really want to deal with. Like, who really wants to delve into your stuff, you know? But I'm going to go into a little bit of why trauma needs to be released. When a person or group of people or the collective experience a trauma, so it's the same for on a personal level as it would be for the collective. The energy of the physical or like verbal act or whatever happened, combined with the emotional response of both the survivor of that experience and the perpetrator, the perceived perpetrator, will create an energy field within that person's body if it's an individual experience, and the person's body and their aura, their energy field that's around them, and it will sit there. Okay. Now this is true on the collective level also. So if there's a war, for example, happening, first of all, anybody that's affected by that war, particularly the people that are actually like hurting each other physically, but everybody that's affected by that will have a resonance in their energy field. Like they'll have something in their energy field about it. And it will also, so like on a collective level, it will sit in that particular place. So for like taking the war example again, so like the world wars where they were in Europe, there will be an energy field around, like it'll be kind of like worldwide, like it'll sit around, but it'll be like condensed in the Europe area, like where that actually happened, and it'll sit there until it's cleared. Okay, now, and that's true of like on an individual level as well. And so this energy, this part of your energy field that is created from that traumatic experience, both on an individual and a collective level, it acts as a magnet. In this case, like attracts like, and so it will attract that experience to the person again and again and again until they clear it. So like this, some of these experiences will pass from lifetime to lifetime. You can pass the energy of a situation down through your ancestral line, like to your children and their children, and it'll continue until somebody in the line clears that out of the line and clears it out of their energy field. And it's the same kind of concept on the collective level. So when we have the wars, or when we experience something that is collectively traumatizing, like something like 9/11 or mass shooting, stuff like that, it will create an energy field that fits in the collective energetic field. And it could be something that affects the individuals, obviously, that, and so it's it affects, there's a lot of like moving parts to clearing something like this out, but it can be done. But it really takes typically groups of people to clear the collective in the most potent way. And on an individual level, you can clear it for yourself. So this understanding of like it being in the energy field, it was actually designed into this system intentionally so that we can actually see what needs to be cleared, so that we don't continue to carry things on. It was actually a gift for us to be able to like perceive it and see. It's not pleasant in the experience, obviously, when if you're having a repeating pattern, it's like, why do I keep attracting the same type of guy in? It's because you have something in your energy field that is, stems from the initial trauma of it. So anyway, so the pattern will repeat, and the experience, you'll have repeating experiences like that until it's cleared. Like I said, traumas can be passed down the family line from generation to generation. So ancestral poverty, things like like sexual abuse in the family line, things like that, where it was like a big thing for your ancestors, like racism and like everything that goes along with that. It can all be passed down generationally. And so this is also true on a collective level. So, which is part of the reason why we continue to have big collective issues and collective traumas. It's like repeating patterns that are happening until the collective decides, like, we've had enough of this. We're going to clear out this energy field, with all of the past trauma that we've experienced, that is acting like a magnet for us. And so I'm like a big picture person, and I tend to relate everything back to the collective because that's part of what I'm here to do. I forgot to mention that earlier. So releasing trauma, there's kind of certain things that you want to look at when you're releasing trauma. Emotional release. So I was taught by one of my teachers to, first of all, you want to like feel the emotions fully, especially if they've been pushed down and they've been sitting in your energy field. You want to allow yourself to really feel them, to pull them to the surface. Okay, because that pulls it to the surface. And so this is on an individual level, of course. And then what my teacher taught me was that you can ask your body to light them up, and then you pull it out. You can either kind of imagine you're pulling it out like that, or you can send waves of energy through you and up your feet that kind of bring it with you. There's a number of different visualizations that you can do. I'm not going to get super into that right now. I'm just kind of giving some ideas of how to like start to look at the trauma in the pieces of the trauma and be able to kind of pull it out. You're going to also want to look at any identify any beliefs that are limiting you, that stem from that trauma, but just in general, anything that you believe that any belief inherently limits who you are at your core. So your God energy, right? Your great spirit energy. That energy has no bounds, has no limits, but every belief that you carry limits that. And so there are certain beliefs that have really served us, like, you know, gravity is a thing. It holds us to the earth, like, things like that. But you can look at the beliefs you hold, like, under things that you're telling yourself that is no longer serving you, like, I don't deserve happiness, I don't deserve abundance, things like that, would be beliefs that you're holding. And then with cord, I learned I did not, so people often talk about cutting cord. I don't think that gets all of it. So when I see an energetic cord, it kind of looks like tree root. It's the cord, and then it kind of connects into the person. And you can ask the energy threads, the roots, the tendrils, whatever you want to call those things, to wrap back around the base of the cord, and then you can pull the whole thing out. That gets like all of the data out, in my opinion. But sometimes if I'm really trying to release somebody that has been very toxic in my life, I would imagine I have a sword, and I actually make it hot in my imagination, and I cut the cord to like cauterize the end, so that it's like a finality thing for me. It like really says I'm done with this, and then I do the thing where I get the energy threads out and I pull the cord out. So just a side note. You're going to want to release contracts, oaths, vows, any type of like verbal agreements that could have been made between your soul and another being. So whenever we experience a big trauma in particular, we have agreed to that on a soul level. This is what my knowing is. And if you enter into kind of a contract with another being to be the victim, play the victim role, so, and then they play the perpetrator role in an experience, or you're actually agreeing to those before you're born. So what you also want to get rid of the cords and contract, or the contracts, and the any of the verbal agreements, and you could say something as simple as, I destroy and uncreate any contracts, oaths, vows, agreements, etc., that I created around this event in this lifetime and past lifetime. And then you just have to say it. You just have to state your intention that you're undoing that. Okay. Another piece of this is forgiveness of yourself. That's a big one. That was a hard one for me and others, including the perceived perpetrator. This is really difficult for some people to even wrap their minds around, that they believe that the perceived perpetrator in a situation or on a collective level is not deserving of forgiveness. But we have to remember that those beings are part of the whole. Like, they are still part of the whole of creation, and they come from God just like we do. And maybe they've lost their way, maybe they've, there can be a lot of reasons why they ended up in that role, such as they agreed to it. But what I've come to understand after all my years of releasing my own trauma is that the perpetrator holds just as much weight as the victim or as the survivor. They're still holding that heaviness in their own energy field. And if we don't look at that and like decide that we're going to forgive each other for the things that we've experienced and for collective traumas, like, we're never going to get there. We have to forgive and move past the traumas that we've experienced and that the collective has experienced, in order to move into this experience, like this higher dimensional experience. Like, we have to release all of that. And when we don't forgive somebody, we're still holding resentment and anger and those lowering vibrations, and we can't get past that. So we have to release that. Okay, so healing the collective and communal trauma. So what I've learned through my own inquiries in with my helper beings and great spirit and other dimensional beings that I have worked with, is that it's time to recast human history as a hero's quest. Like, we are taught that there's something inherently wrong with humanity, that we're kind of prone to war, that we're prone to like these issues, and that's not true. This is not how we're viewed in the cosmos. We're viewed as like, we are seen as kind of the bravest of the brave who chose to incarnate on Earth in this like experiment. Because, and I could get into the whole Earth experiment, that's a talk for another time. It's a lot of information, but the Earth realm was, we were placed in the lowest, from my understanding, we were placed in the lowest dimensional, so the really far low into the third dimension. And as you go lower, as I said, into the dimensions, there's more experiences of dualities, more experiences of separation. And so when Earth was put into this lower dimension, the humanity was the it was the kind of lowest from my understanding. It was the lowest that any being of this style avatar, like intelligent, able to access higher different dimensional realms, was placed. And so it was like, we knew that it was going to be a difficult journey, and we still did it. So it was like the bravest souls decided to go into this incarnation, and we need to start seeing humanity like that, like how the rest of the cosmos sees us. Because I believe that the way that we're taught to view ourselves, and the guilt and the heaviness that we carry because we're inherently flawed, is really keeping us down and back. Like, it's not allowing us, and some of us are breaking out of that, of course, but I'm just saying, like, on a collective level, like, having that understanding would make it easier for us in this transition. And so as I said, the lower third dimension is very heavy energetically, and the characteristics of that dense of a vibration are polarity, which is like a singular existence versus collective. Like we would experience more of a singular existence in the lower dimension. And as you go up through the upper dimensions, it's more of a collective experience. And duality is another characteristic. So this or that is kind of the way of thinking that is natural in that lower of a dimension. So it has to be this or that, black or white. It can't be both perspectives are right, which is more closer to the truth. All of our perspectives are right. Okay. And so, but when we're in that dense of a vibration, that's natural for us to think it has to be this or that. And all of these kind of characteristics of the denser dimensions helped us lead us to many of the issues that humanity now faces, like the wars and the isms and the abuses. Lower density does not inherently mean we would have to experience those things, but it makes it more likely. And so the beings that incarnated here into that lower density were willing to roll the dice on experiencing those things. And, and so there is a reason why humanity has been through the things that it's been through. And, but that being said, we're moving out of that. We're moving into more of a heart-based, caring about each other, like supporting each other, really coming back towards that oneness. But in order to do that, we need to clear the collective traumas as well, in my opinion, to be able to move into that higher vibration. What I had wanted to do was actually do a collective clearing on something, on a collective trauma that we've had. Now, Noel, I know you've been through a lot. How are you feeling about, so the idea is that we're holding space for this collective clearing, and I know you and Bob have been through quite a bit, and I don't want to like put more on you, if that makes.
Well, in some ways, you do a collective healing, because Bob and I are in Wisconsin right now because our two very best friends were just killed in a motorcycle accident. And these people were so loved by this community. The outpouring has been so tremendous that I think there's a lot of collective healing that could also be helpful. And
with that, yeah, we could totally. Actually, I was going to ask if somebody had a specific thing that they wanted to work on, so we could do a collective clearing with that, if that feels right for you. Guys?
Yeah, just because, of course, it's very traumatic for us, but in some ways, in my belief system, I accept that this is what they had planned, and I see a lot of beauty in how they exited.
Yeah.
And I don't mean to sound callous or anything, but I just feel like they actually sent a message back, and it was be love.
Yeah.
And so that kind of, I just know that's what they are, and that's how they live their life. And so I'm not saying I don't miss my friends or don't, wish they were still here, but I respect that they did their job here,
Yeah.
So I don't, at least at this point, this is how I'm feeling. It's still.
Yeah. Well, what a beautiful like perspective, and it's such a strong, that they're still there, because you're getting information, communicating with them. And so that's such a beautiful way of looking at it,
But I'm willing to do anything, if that's
Yeah, I feel like we could do, especially because it sounds like their lives really affected this community in particular, and
right.
it could, let's do that. That sounds really beautiful. Okay, so let's go right into that then.
Sure.
And we will so we're gonna center ourselves and just take some deep breaths. And really come into your physical body. And I do want to say that anybody that is watching this, they're in the energetic realms. Space and time are not the same. And so if you're watching this, like a replay of this, you can participate and still feel the potent effects, and your effect, your holding, your energy will be felt by the whole as well. So I'm just saying that as a caveat. Okay, so we're gonna just ground into our physical body, take some deep breaths, and really get grounded here. And then you can have your eyes open or closed. It's whatever you feel comfortable with. And we're just going to, first of all, call forward all of our helper beings. So anybody that is kind of holding space for this experience, we're going to call our guide team, our ancestors, our helpers, our angels, whatever feels right for you. We're just going to call them in to support this experience. And we are also, so I would like us to kind of feel like we're kind of in a circle. Okay.
More of a circle here.
Okay, so we will just imagine ourselves with all of our helper beings and any other beings that, you know, are high vibrational, that want to come in to kind of support this circle and this clearing right now. Can kind of form a circle. We're just going to kind of imagine a bright, energetic circle. Maybe there's bright white light kind of connecting us. Maybe there's bright golden light. Whatever color, you know, feels right for you, that's okay. And we are going to call into kind of the center of our circle any of the beings who have been touched by this experience, either their lives, their deaths, in any way, their souls, you know, any beings that were touched by the experience, in particular, you know, the death, that was a more recent experience, and so we can kind of clear out some of the energy around that. But anybody who really has been touched by these beings in their lives, in this lifetime and in other lifetimes, we could do, and anybody that has been specifically touched by the death in particular, we'll bring them into the center of the circle. And so Bob and Noel, you're welcome to also go into the center if you feel called to that, or anybody else who's listening. And so we're going to just allow and kind of feel some emotions around it. We're going to let those emotions on kind of the group level of all the beings, and even the beings that, you know, passed away. You know, they perhaps have some emotions around it as well. And so we're just going to allow those emotions to kind of come into the center, into the very center of the circle. And we're just going to kind of allow that to be just for a moment. It's going to feel any sadness or any, you know, it could be anything, any joy at knowing them, anything kind of, will pull all of that into the center. And we're gonna have all of the beings that are in the middle, but also anybody that is kind of in the circle surrounding. We're gonna ask our bodies to light up where we're holding any emotion in this, you know, in the whole perspective of these people's lives. Like, we're just gonna bring up anything that is maybe a heavier emotion in particular that we might want to clear out. Any sadness, any anger, any resentment, any, you know, anything, could be anything. So we're just gonna ask our bodies to light that up. And then we're going to, I just had a visual come into my head. So we're going to have a divine vacuum cleaner that kind of, the end of it kind of sits over our whole circle here. And we're going to have this divine vacuum cleaner kind of suck out all of this energy, or the emotions around this energy. And we're just going to as that happens, just feel our body kind of releasing that emotion as much as we can. I know it was a new experience. Just release any of that and allow it to be transmuted by the divine, by higher vibrational energies. And then we are going to, okay, so we're going to ask everybody's body, including the people holding the space and the people in the center, we're going to ask our bodies to light up any cords that are connected to either the situation or other beings that are no longer serving us. So this is not cutting ties to anybody. This is just any cord that is like heavy, that is lower vibrational, that is not serving you or any of the beings in the middle. We're going to ask our bodies to light those up. And then we're going to ask the roots, energy threads, tendrils of those cords to wrap back around the base of all the cords. And then we're going to pull them out. So if you feel called to pull your own out, that's okay. I'm going to kind of assist in the process as well. And I think we have some helper beings kind of assisting as well. We're feeling that I could. Okay. Okay. So the next piece is that we are going to do what I call a soul retrieval piece. And you are going to, each person will imagine all of the beings lined up in front of them. And you are going to either flow, imagine your higher self flowing through their higher self, almost like a ghost would, or you're going to bump an energy, like you're going to put your energy field, like have a bubble around your energy field and bump your bubble up against theirs. And you're going to take back anything, any energy that is yours, and you're going to give back any energy that is theirs. It's reinforcing your energy field. It's getting your energy back and allowing the being to have their energy back, whoever that being is. And you could see faces to the beings, you could not see faces, maybe you're not even getting a visual, that's okay. We're just going to kind of imagine ourselves flowing through kind of a line of people, and you're just taking back all of your energy and giving back all of theirs. Gonna give that a moment. Okay. I'm getting a funny visual. I'll share with you guys later. So okay, so the soul retrieval piece. So, and then we're going to do a forgiveness piece. So the forgiveness is your higher self and their higher self, and in this case, it's because the trauma was different. Like it wasn't the people, it wasn't an intentional kind of thing, so to speak. It's a little bit different. So it could be just a forgiveness of them passing, and this is also, again, for the beings that are kind of in the center. So like their higher self or the family members and stuff is in there too. So I do want to make sure we do the forgiveness piece. But so if you want to just repeat in your minds, I see you, I accept you, and you're speaking to kind of the group as a whole when you're doing that. I see you, I accept you, I love you, I forgive you, please forgive me. And the forgiveness also is a release as well. It's kind of like an unbinding. It's not that you're not connected to them anymore, but it's you don't really want to go into another lifetime being kind of really bound to another being. So it's just kind of an assistance with that. And then I'm just going to recite some wording around releasing like any cords and contracts. And I just have to pull this up. So just give me 1 second here. There it is. Okay, so I'm just gonna kind of say this out loud, and anybody's higher self can take this on as, you know, and do, you know, say this as their own in this moment, you know, so it's just kind of for the collective as a whole. So I recant and rescind all contracts, oaths, vows, and agreements that I have made with any and all beings in this lifetime or any lifetime, to hold any agreements between the beings that passed over and ourselves in place. Again, it's not releasing them forever, it's just releasing out of any agreements that they have made in this lifetime. I destroy, uncreate, and destroy across all timelines, dimensions, space, and realities. I destroy and uncreate all projections, judgments, curses, hooks, and claims directed at me and locked in my body. Everything my body and I have taken on and locked in as mine, that's not mine. I transform, release, and dissipate all of that with total ease. All of the oaths, vows, swearings, loyalties, commitments, communities, binding and bond contracts that I have made with any and all beings that are currently stuck to me based on all those commitments, etc., I will rescind, revoke, recant, reclaim, renounce, destroy, and uncreate all of that. Okay. So in particular, it's kind of releasing the two beings that just crossed over from anything that they had agreed to, and it's just kind of a clean release, if that makes sense. And so I'm just going to ask the helper beings that are here with us, all the guides, perhaps angels, any higher dimensional beings that are holding space with us here. I'm just going to ask them to send some really beautiful high vibrational energy, healing energy, cleansing energy, uplifting energy into the space so everybody can experience that that higher vibration and that healing and cleansing energy, so you can accept that into your body. I'm kind of seeing them in a circle outside all of us and just kind of sending some energy into the center. And in particular, anybody that was affected by the lives and the deaths of these beautiful beings that crossed over, and the beings themselves, knowing that you've touched so many lives and that you have been such a sounds like such a beautiful beacon of light in your life, and you've touched so many people, and we're wanting you to know that, to know that you made a difference in your life, and you've made a difference in a lot of people's lives. And we just want you held in love and light as you transition from this world and as you experience the world from the other side, and where you're perceiving it now. We just want you held in love and light, and knowing all the lives you've touched. Okay. Okay. gonna give that one more minute. I feel like there's still some soaking of the energy happening, especially in the center. Okay. Okay. I feel like that's kind of complete. Okay. So I just want to thank all of the beings that have participated in this kind of healing process. And release you to go as you were. um, but just with gratitude for being a part of this healing experience, and thank all of our guides and our helper beings for being there with us as well. Okay. And we can kind of come back into this space here and now. Take a couple of deep breaths, maybe move our body a little bit.
Ooh. Well, for me, that was very powerful.
Good.
Because you know what happened was our two best friends were broadsided, or well, what had happened is a 17-year-old probably was texting and ran a stop sign, and my friends were riding on their motorcycle and couldn't avoid the truck, and they're both, died almost instantly. Well, one did, and one died about an hour later. And what really came into my mind was that 17-year-old, that, what about forgiveness for her, that she made a mistake. And well, maybe it was a mistake, depends on your belief system, but she accepted this role, and which resulted in the death of my two best friends. And there are so many things, I can't get into all of it, but there's so many things that are puzzling, and also had another idea that came to me that I never had before, was that it's that my friend is a financial planner, and we can't find a will, and we have evidence that she was working on a trust, and so we're going like, how does this make any sense whatsoever? And I don't, I just want to say is that maybe she wanted to keep us here a little bit longer to support her family. That if there had been a will, if there had been a trust, it had been turned over to the lawyers, and their three, children that need help. They have are on the spectrum, and cannot fully live independently. That they knew that we would be here, we would stay to support them. And the thing is that we had everything planned except the month of September. We didn't have anything planned. And so all these things like, coming together, I'm going like, I would hear it out of my friends, mouth all the time. Well, you've got to get that, you've got to get that will, you got to get that whatever set up. And she did it for so many people. And so it's kind of crazy.
Yeah.
I'm thinking like, but if that had been, we probably would have come here and granted we're part of the funeral service, and did a memorable and wouldn't have stuck around that long. I don't know. It was just a message, a feeling that came to me when we were doing that process.
I got goosebumps when you said that. That's usually my tell when when there's an agreement. I get goosebumps. And when you said that, I got goosebumps everywhere.
I'm kind of getting goosebumps too. And like today, I went to the bank with them. I'm going to be the personal representative for both of their estates. And so I went to the bank today because the oldest doesn't really know how to do a checking account or do the financial things. And so that took up a lot of my day today. But it just feels like, again, that love and that contract. And these are people drove 1,000 miles to come see us at Christmas time. And we were just here, with them, and they dog sat for us for 2 weeks, so very, very close friends, but but also that forgiveness piece for that 17-year-old. So it's very helpful, very powerful. And I really appreciate what you brought for me and for the collective, because that's so I'm if anybody else wants to jump in here, Sheila or Bob, just take the proverbial talking stick, and or if you have any other questions or comments for Erica.
Yeah, absolutely.
You to unmute. Because I did.
Well, I will share this. Thank you, Erica, and all the spirits and beings that accompanied you and that you invited to be a part of this. Being at the funeral and interacting with people that these folks were involved in community service organizations for special needs people, the needy in this community, marginalized individuals in this community, organizations of peace in this community. There's so many, so I had placed inside this circle all those who I knew were in the church on Tuesday, but I didn't know who they were in particular. So it's actually good that all I knew was their spirit, their soul, and their soul connection to our friends and their work in the world and their work in this community, and could see their grief. I've heard a few of them verbalize that. I saw some of that on Tuesday. But in this circle of healing and collective healing, was really seeing the if you will, the aura or the energy or the not particular human shapes or forms or individuals or faces or names, but the sort of the strings of connection between them and our friends, and seeing through the energy of seeing through the human experience that I witnessed them having of sadness and grief, and particularly the children of this couple, and it brings me great comfort. I hope that extends to bringing them some comfort, those other individuals, the souls of those other individuals, and the significance that they live on. Had a side conversation that day with one of the individuals who said, "No, I'm not going to the front of the room with those open caskets, because I just don't want to be traumatized by that. I don't want to see that human form or what remains of a human form." And it struck me in this collective healing experience now that every one of the conversations, interactions, and people, couples, 3 people, 4 people standing together, interacting and talking about their relationship with and their experiences with these individuals. That's the soul connection. That's the soul connection of their time on the planet, is what lives in that, which has benefited those individuals individually, some of them in small collective groups, and in the larger collective. And so I know that it's not mine to do that. This kind of collective healing fixes something or adjusts something for, particularly for their children. But I like to think that it contributes to what could be some help for them at a spiritual level.
Yeah.
Mm.
Hmm.
Well, I clearly had only met one of them last year at a retreat, so did get to see her a few days. She was the beautiful soul that we keep hearing about. Is the beautiful soul, and I didn't think that I had a great deal of sadness, because I wasn't close, but I felt all choked up. I was actually rubbing my throat because it got so tight during the releasing, and I'm not sure what that's about. I suspect it isn't all mine.
Yeah.
I think I was picking up empathically from the other souls in the circle. And that's okay, because I participate in the letting go as well. So yes, it was very beautiful. I took my imagination there with people I don't know, all the souls that were in this community, just knowing how strong that light board is and was when there's someone like this leaving. So it was a very important process to go through and witness and participate in. I can see the value in doing it with other things.
Yeah.
And I do have a question before we run out of time. So you mentioned early on that there's a lot of volunteers here now, and I've been hearing this over and over again. That's why there's so many souls on the planet. But I'm also noticing, especially just in the last few weeks, large numbers are checking out all at one time through major events. I mean, 4,000 this week, 2,000 last week, just all together. And I'm wondering if that's somehow tied to the shift. I mean, obviously the planet is shifting herself.
Yeah. My understanding is that there's a lot of, so when we incarnate, we give ourselves a lot of exit points, and a lot of the souls are particularly souls that have been very enmeshed in the humanness, like the humanity, the density. I think a lot of those souls are kind of opting to leave at this time. I don't know that it's for, they may have, each individual may have its own reasons, but my kind of instinct from my own inquiry into it is like, they just don't feel the need to be present during the shift. They've done what they needed to do, and then they're kind of opting out during it. And so I think that yes, I do think it has to do with a shift. I do, because, and also perhaps maybe some of them would leave because they know they're holding a denser vibration, and they're like, it's a collective shift into a higher.
Oh, wow. Yeah, it's a clearing.
Yes. Yeah.
Right.
And and it would be more of like a gift of love almost for the collective. That's how I'm perceiving it.
Wow.
Yeah.
For me, it's thanks for the question, Sheila, because I feel that there are, I don't know one of those people in the floods over there. personally. But but I do know some of the people that I know and that have left the planet. And I mean, you and I both know, and Noel knows, and others here watching will experience Barbara Marx Hubbard in their life every day. And it carrying that which was her purpose here and her message to bring to us. And I feel that there are so many that have to use your explanation, Erica, have chosen the moment that they have recently, in recent years, recent months, weeks, to depart, because their contract is that they can do more from another realm.
Yeah.
In the connection back across the realms to us.
Yeah.
Our life was completely shifted by my mom departing the planet in February of 2020. And it was, I truly believe that she looked down the road at what the human experience was going to be for the next couple of years and said, I can do more over here than I can do hanging out here on the planet. And so I think there are many that are, at least it's my belief. So it's my reach to them, to their souls, whether it's their connection to mine or not. And I think that's, and there are messages in all of this. There's messages through the pain of climate disaster and of financial disaster and of all types of human systems that are breaking down, some of which we humans would say, well, that resulted in the death of people. Gun violence in the United States. There are people on the other side of the planet that we're friends with that won't let their kids come and visit the United States because they think it's a violent place, that they could be killed while they're here. And so we're all playing a role in that dance, and those that have left us as a result of what in the human form we see as gun violence are bringing a message as well, bringing a message for whether if we're going to continue our society and our culture this way, are we going to do something different? And so looking at all these human activities, events, including departures, that you're talking about, Sheila, there's messages with all of that. There really are messages.
Another thing that just popped into my mind was that with somebody's death, it especially for the people closest to them, it's very intense, right? And a particular trauma like that can accelerate the people who experience it, their spiritual growth. It's like catapulting them, and there's a lot of different things that can happen for a soul to experience that, but one of them is death. And so that just dropped in, as while Bob was talking too. But that is a good point that you made, Bob, about the other reasons why they could be coming out or opting out.
Absolutely. And thinking about that, Bob, going back to our personal friends and their family, is that, they really, 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 really tried to, help their children. And it was never really understood or accepted or valued. And I think, part of it might be that perhaps they can help more from the other side. Their children. We just don't know. What I do know is that we're out of time. And I want Erica, our friend Erica, to tell us how you work with folks and how they can reach you. This has been a wonderful evening and presentation.
Yay, thank you so much. Yeah, so I do one-to-one sessions. I have my business name is Blackbear Awakening. It's just blackbearawakening.com. You can get a hold of me there. I'm on Facebook. I also am starting to do swim with wild dolphins and yoga retreats. So this is going to be a regular thing of mine.
Awesome.
And did you put Blackbear lady? I just saw
Is that what you said? What did you say? What was it?
that. Blackbear awakening.
Oh,
Blackbear lady, that's me. Yeah.
you gotta fire me.
There it is. Yeah.
And the corrected chat is there and momentarily will be on Facebook.
Blackbear awakening. I'll
Awakening.
put
Yeah.
that in the Facebook chat, will you?
Yeah. And I am also in the process of creating a comprehensive course on how to release trauma, how to light up your psychic abilities, and that will be ready within the next couple months. And I will be starting a podcast actually. I'm in the process of doing
Wow.
that. So keep an eye out if you're interested. But also the dolphin retreats, the website is different. So see joy, SEA, joy awakening. So it's with the awakening still .com. So it's I'm the awakening business.
Yeah.
Wide
So
awake, wide awake.
yeah.
Well, thank you so much for this wonderful evening and time together. And
Thank
yeah,
you.
I'll tell one story on myself. Is that I told Bob when we were traveling around for 10 years in our RV, we had to claim a state for residence. I said, we have to claim Florida. He says, why Florida? I said, because then I get the discount to go be with the dolphins. I haven't quite gotten there yet, but yeah. Well, thank you everyone for coming, and thank you, Erica. It's wonderful to spend the evening with you.
Yeah.
Thank you, Erica.
My
Come
pleasure.
back. We're always here Thursday night.
All
Much
right.
love, everyone.